What is abatement? It is the reduction, decrease, or elimination of taxes previously assessed. What is absentee bidding? It's the process by which a bid may be submitted without the presence of the person submitting it, such as by mail, by phone, or by assistant. What is an abstract, aka abstract of title? It's a condensed history of the chain of title to the land, including but not limited to statements of all liens, charges, and encumbrances, and the liabilities of land. It may also include maps and plats. In Texas, the book or volume of plat maps is known as the abstract. What is an acre? A measurement of land in any shape that is the equivalent to 43,560 square feet, also equal to 160 square rods. 640 acres makes up a section. 30 sections makes up a township. What is ad valorem? Taxes imposed at a rate set by law as a percentage of value. What is an appraisal? It's an evaluation or estimation of the value of the property by disinterested qualifications. What is appreciation? The increase in the market value of the real estate over its value since purchase. What is the assessed value? A value set by local government appraisers under the statutes for the express purpose of property taxation. What is an assignment of purchasing? It's the transfer of a lien position from a government entity to an investor. More simply stated, property tax liens not sold at the auction are offered for purchase at a later date. What is bankruptcy? The proceedings against a debtor who has been declared legally insolvent. What is baseline? A surveying line used to establish township lines on a map grid that runs east-west on the grid in order to establish north-south halves of the grid. What is bid-in? A phrase used to describe the process when liens or property are not at auction and they are written off to the county for disposition. What is bidding a premium or bonus amount? Bidding for a particular lien at an auction at the total amount of delinquent tax, interest accrued, penalties, and other costs. A successful bidder is one who offers the largest cash amount in excess of the bid amount due on the tax liens. What is bidding down the interest rate? The bidding for a particular lien at an auction begins at the maximum interest rate allowed by law. Investors offer bids in a descending manner, such as the first bid at 16%, then 15%, 14%, etc. The successful bidder is the investor who is willing to accept the least amount of interest on the investment. What is bidding down on a percentage of ownership? Investors bid in a declining manner, such as the first at 100%, then 99%, then 98%, etc. The successful bidder has the investor who is willing to accept the least amount of the interest position in ownership for the investment. What is capital? Capital is money used for investing purposes. What is a cartographer? The maker of maps, usually a department within the assessor's office, a freestanding county department committed to the creation and maintenance of government plat subdivision maps. What is cash flow? It's the gross income minus operating expenses and debt payments. What is a cause number? It's an index number assigned by the clerk of the county to a lawsuit filed in civil action. The first two digits of the number are usually identifiers of the calendar year in which the motion is filed, usually followed by a dash and then a series of 5 or 6 digits that identify the case. What is caveat emptor? It's a Latin term for let the buyer beware. What is a CC andar? It is a conveyance, conditions, and restrictions, guidelines set forth in a subdivision plan by the developer of the land. What is compound interest? It's interest that is calculated against the sum of the principal amount plus the previously accrued interest. What is condemnation? It is the legal process by which the right of eminent domain is exercised. Part of the process includes determining the just compensation. What is a contiguous parcel? It is a neighboring or adjacent parcel in actual close contact touching a point along a boundary line of another parcel. What is a conveyance? It's the transfer of title to land from one person or persons to another by instruments such as a deed. What is a county constant? The percentage of fair market value assessors appraise at for taxation purposes. This percentage is never mandated by statute. It is simply a rule of use in order to minimize the administration of taxation processes. For example, an assessor strives to assess properties at 82% of fair market value. What is a county index map? The general map of the county with superimposed index relating to parcel identification numbers. A county map identifying the range and townships designated by the county. What is a deed of trust? An instrument now used in most states in place of a mortgage. The legal title of real property is transferred to a trustee in favor of the lender, aka the beneficiary, until the trustor satisfies the term of the contract. What is a deed? It's a written instrument transferring title of real property from one entity to another. What is due diligence? To take on the responsibilities of performing one's own research on the quality and or value of the particular instrument. What is an easement? It's the right of use of property of another for a specific purpose, such as for the benefit of a contiguous landowner to get from parcel A to parcel B. Or a gross easement, as in a right-of-way for utility lines, refers to an actual land use. What is egress? A path by which a person exits land. Also the act or right of going or leaving, used in the term ingress in the combination ingress and egress, i.e. entering and leaving, which simply stated means the right to come and go across the land of another. What is eminent domain? It's the power to take private property for public use by a federal, state, or lower government. This power is granted by the Fifth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. The taking of property by this device requires just compensation. What is an encumbrance? It's a claim, lien, charge, liability attached to or with binding real property. What is an escheat? It's a revision of ownership of property, real or personal, to the state when there is not any individual to inherit it. What is fair market value? It's the appraised value of a property as compared with other properties on the market. What is fee simple? Typically, the words fee simple standing alone create an absolute estate without limitations and or conditions. It's also a synonym for ownership, FIFA, a term used exclusively in Georgia to a tax lien document or writ that authorizes the sheriffs to obtain satisfaction of unpaid taxes, levies on and selling a delinquent taxpayer's property. What is final deposition sale? It's a term exclusively used in Florida after the expiration of the period tax liens in Florida are brought to a second sale to afford additional investors the opportunity to bid on deeds. The opening bid equals the redemption cost of the tax lien certificate. Should there be no additional bids, the lien holder is awarded the deed in exchange for the certificate of purchase. What is financing? It's the way in which an investor acquires the capital with which to purchase a property. What is a foreclosure? To destroy an equity of redemption, a termination of rights to real property. What is a grantee? The one to whom a grant is made, generally the buyer. What is a grantor? The one who grants a property to another, generally the seller. What is a homestead exemption? It's the reduction in taxable value of a property as authorized by law. It can have different definitions in different states. What is an improvement? It's a building or other structure that becomes part of the land. In arrears. It's a term meaning delinquent or payments past due. What is incorporate? It's the process of forming a local political body such as a city or town to the municipal government. What is an index map? It's a map of taxing jurisdictions containing references to a tax identification system. What is ingress? To access or an entrance. The act or right of entering, often used with the term in combination ingress and egress. Entering and leaving, which simply means to come and go across land of another. What is interest? A percentage of the amount of money paid for its use over a specific time frame, expressed normally as an annual percentage rate. What is inventory? It's a detailed list or schedule of liens and properties that have previously been to a tax sale and are now available for sale after the auction lien transaction. What is an IRA? The individual retirement account, IRA, allows annual payments to the account tax deferred. The account allows individual investors to determine how these will be invested, as opposed to a trustee or administrator of the account. What is a judgment? It's the verdict of a court on a matter presented to it. What is a junior lien? A mortgage or other encumbrance with a secondary interest. What is a lease option? It's an agreement between two parties where the owner of a property extends the option to purchase the property to a second party. The second party normally lives on the property until the option expires. What is a lease? It's a contractual agreement between the owner and the tenant which allow the tenant to occupy a property for a specific period of time. What is a leasee? One who contracts to hold occupancy rights in a real property of another lien. 1. To claim encumbrance or a charge on a property for a payment of of some debt. 2. A security for a debt. 3. The right to retain property for payment of a debt. What is a legal description? The means by which a property is identified through the exact boundary. A surveyor will use the record plats, meters, and boundaries, or the government survey to describe the property. What is a lien certificate? It's the same thing as a tax lien certificate. What is lea pendens? 1. A Latin term for a lawsuit pending, which refers to a written notice of a lawsuit that has been filed with concerns to real property. 2. A common law doctrine filed in court, such as a notice jurisdiction power or control of a court, will require property in legislation pending action as final judgment. What is maturity? The date on which principal amount of a note, draft, bond, lien, or other instrument becomes due and payable. What is a meridian? It's a survey line used to establish range lines on a map grid. The meridian runs north-south on the grid in order to establish east-west halves of the grid. What is a mill? The rate of tax imposed upon a taxable value. 1 mill equals $1 of tax for every $1,000 of taxable value. What is minimum bid? The opening price a property will be offered at auction. What is a mortgage? A written instrument securing an interest in real property for payment of a debt. What is MUD? Municipal Utilities District, a type of taxing jurisdiction. What is opening bid? The beginning bid of an item at auction, generally all tax, interest, and fees. What is an over-the-counter list? A list of liens and properties available for sale after an auction has taken place. These liens and properties can be purchased with no competitive bidding and as a single transaction. They are normally sold on a first-come, first-served basis. What is a parcel? 1. An area of land described in a single description by a deed or other instrument. 2. A number of lots on a plat or plan, separately owned and capable of being separately conveyed. What is a penalty? It's a sum of money attached to a debt as punishment for non-payment. What is per annum? It's by the year, annually, or yearly. What is personal property? 1. In a general sense, everything that is subject of ownership that is not considered as real property. 2. Movable assets for taxation purposes. Some examples would be a dentist chair, farm machinery, or a mobile home. What is a PIN? It's a parcel identification number, aka parcel number, aka property number, aka abstract number, aka folio number, etc. What is a plat map? Aka subdivision map, a map outlining individual lots within a block or tract of land. What is premium bidding? The opening bid equals the sum of taxes, interest, and fees due. Bidding continues in set dollar amount increments, increasing with each new bid. What is a premium? It is the difference between the purchase price and the opening bid of an auction. What is a property ID number? Also see PIN number, aka parcel identification number, aka parcel number, aka property number, aka abstract number, aka folio number, etc. What is a property profile? It's a report formulated by title companies identifying statistics of particular property. Some of the companies may charge a small fee, but quite often they are free, as part of a title search. What is a quiet title action? The proceedings to establish the plaintiff's title to land by bringing into an adverse claimant and thereby compelling them to either establish their claim or forever stopped from asserting it. What is a range? It's the columns of a mapping grid formed by range lines in 6-mile increments. It defines as east-west of the meridian. An example is R3E equals range 3 columns east of the meridian. What is real property? 1. Land and what is generally affixed, erected, or growing upon it. 2. That is constructed and mobile, except for crops, generally a synonym for. What is redemption? Refers to the procedure by which the legal property owner, the title holder, or vested interested parties, such as a tax lien investor, pays the tax collector the amount required to cancel or invalidate the tax lien on the real property. What is redemption? Refers to the procedure by which the legal property owner, the title holder, or vested interested parties, such as a tax lien investor, pays the tax collector the amount required to cancel or invalidate the tax lien on the real property. What is a review of assignment? All real property is evaluated by local government appraisers, with the express purpose of determining an assessed value in order to calculate property taxes. Owners are afforded by law a method of disputing these values set for taxation purposes. The phrase describes that process of disputation. What is rotational bidding? A method of auctioneering off liens and properties. The auctioneer begins with the first parcel listed in the advertisement and asks the party in the first designated seat if they are interested. If not, they proceed to the party in the second designated seat number, and so forth until someone accepts. The next lien or property is offered to the party in the following seat until everyone in the room has been offered an opportunity to bid. Then the lien auctioneer starts all over at the beginning. What is a scavenger sale? A term exclusively used in large Illinois counties, mainly Cook. A sale that takes place every other year, odd year, for the properties previously offered but not sold at the annual tax sales. Opening bid on all properties equals $450 and is a premium bid situation. What is a sealed bid? A bid made for liens or properties at auction which are mailed to the administrator of that sale. All bids are opened at a set time, date, and place, the highest bidder being awarded the property. What is a section? A division of land on a map grid, 1 square mile, 640 acres in size. Each township is divided by straight lines and comprises 36 sections of land. Sections are then divided into halves and quarters in order to legally describe tracts or parcels of land. What is simple interest? The interest computed against principal only. What is struck? A term exclusively used in Texas. Refers to the auction taken by a taxing jurisdiction transferring title to real property from a property owner to the taxing jurisdiction after a tax sale took place and no bids were tendered. What is subtaxing? 1. To attach a subsequent year's tax delinquency to a lien. 2. To properly execute a tax lien certificate with subsequent year's taxes prior to the expiration of redemption. What is subdivide? To divide a lot, tract, parcel of land into 3 or more similar lots, tracts, or of land for sale or development. What is a subdivision? A plot of land having been subdivided. What is subordinate? Subject to or junior to, occupying a lower position or inferior order. What is substituted service? A service of notice of pending action as authorized by statute. 2. A publication of notice by a newspaper instead of a personal service or mail. What is tax defaulted? The status of real property when the property taxes are unpaid and delinquent. What is a tax extension? The process by which the tax collector calculates the tax roll for their county. The tax roll, the medium by which the actual tax roll transferred to printing of the tax bills. What is tax lien certificate? The document issued by a public officer to the successful bidder at a tax lien sale. The prima facie or legally sufficient evidence of lien position. What is title insurance? The insurance policy issued by the title company ensuring the accuracy of a search against claims of title defect and against loss from such defects. What is a title search? 1. An examination of public records to determine status of the title of a property, the public records being of the Registry of Deeds or the Recorder's Office. 2. Liens, encumbrances, claims, and defects relating to the real property. What is a township? Rows of a grid defined as 6-mile increments of land by township lines identified as north and south of baseline. 36 square miles equals a tract formed by the intersection of range and township lines. In a map grid example, T6S equals township 6 rows south of the baseline. What is valuation? The estimating of a property value for taxation purposes and appraisal of real property. What is vested? Having the charter or given the right of absolute ownership. To acquire fixed or absolute. What are zoning codes? A designation of letters and numbers used to describe the division of a city or town into district in order to regulate the use and or structural architectural design of land and building.